Hello and welcome to everyone. Today our guest is Sam Creasey, Cage Warriors fighter, MMA fighter from England. So Sam, can you please say a few words about yourself for the introduction so we can continue? Thank you for accepting the call.
No problem, no problem. I'm Sam Creasey. I'm a flyweight in the Cage Warriors division. I fought in Cage Warriors for the majority of my professional career. My record is 12 and 3, and yeah.
When did you start training MMA and which was your first martial art?
um, I was a latecomer to the sport, latecomer to martial arts as well. I began in an MMA gym when I was 21 years old. That was like the local gym to me, but they'd only really just set up as well, and it was just MMA, so no other martial arts before that. Basically, no real coach in charge at the time. We just kind of had a few guys who wanted to do this thing together, and we learned and got our own experiences along the way.
Can you please elaborate the nickname?
The nickname, yes, Samurai.
So,
Like a Japanese warrior.
yeah, like Japanese warrior, I've seen that nickname, but I was unsure whether it has something to do with samurai or whether it's two words.
No, I've had a few people ask me the same thing.
I assumed. So right now, who's coaching you?
Um, I pretty much take care of the MMA side of things for me, try and put everything together. I have a jiu-jitsu coach, Kev Capel. He's RGA Bucks, the coach over there, black belt for many, many years, a really good guy. I've got a guy called Richard Miller. He does my MMA pads, puts it together, just like a fight. And then I'm at various different places around the country sparring and working with other flyweights. I'll be up in Team Renegade, Lift in Birmingham, over at BST in Northampton, and down to London Street Fighters a few times now.
So how would you elaborate your fighting style?
My fighting style probably has been built from the off. I wouldn't say I specialise in any area. I'm well rounded is probably my most choice weapon, because I don't really have a place where I'm too uncomfortable. I try to be as well rounded as possible, and if I'm losing a fight striking, then I can always take it to the ground. But I'm comfortable enough striking to get through the exchanges.
Yeah, that's awesome. Can we discuss your first amateur fight? When did it happen and how did you feel?
That was probably, I think, about 6 months into training. We'd contacted a show. To be honest, it was a bit of a wild one. I don't think I even knew what a takedown was. I'd done some form of grappling, but I didn't really have any idea what I was doing. And I could do some decent basic striking, but no more than that. I went to this fight, weighed I think 65. I think the other guy was 70 kilos, and he choked me out in the first round. And but after that, I'm a bad loser, which probably is good for competition and making me better. So I then went back to the gym and improved on every aspect that I could. Got back in there and won my next fight after that.
So I assume this was the toughest amateur opponent, right? Since he defeated you so easily.
It was a good experience and a real a real kick up the bum, get me back in, get my head switched on, and understand you can't just have too much fun.
Yeah, I understand. But in the first pro fight you kicked off with a win, right?
Yeah, that was against Jack Young. Jack Young back at Fight UK. That was a really hard fight. You know, a lot of guys will come in and they'll have their debut against somebody who's kind of expected to roll over sort of thing. But I've been waiting a year for my debut before that. Couldn't get matched for a long time. Got eventually matched with Jack, and I knew he was good on the ground, good judo guy, and capable of standing up. So it was a really good fight. He caught me with some lovely takedowns, and I managed to catch a guillotine, I think midway through the second round, perhaps, and put him to sleep.
Actually, the first your fight that I was able to find was the one against Ian Dalby, the arse choke. That was actually the first fight of you that I was able to find. So.
Oh really?
Yes.
I think there is. I think the Jack one is somewhere about on YouTube, but I'm not too sure where. I didn't realise the Ian Dalby fight was online.
Well, I found it, but it was probably I think year or two ago. I can't remember now, but I was scrolling and it appeared. In suggestions it appeared. So that the arse choke appeared. So, but that the arse choke was very, very, very great.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah. And how did you defeat Reese Hall?
Sorry?
Reese Hall. How did you defeat him?
Reese Hall, that was a TKO. That was a bit of an issue of a fight. The guy I was meant to fight was a guy called Mark Saintchi, I think his name is. He was 5-0 at the time, and I believe I was 5-0 as well. He was flying in from America, but on the day of the fight, he was really unwell, and he had to pull out of the fight, so they had to find me somebody last minute. This kid stepped up, and I put my way in the first by TKO.
Before your Cage Warriors career, who was the most difficult opponent?
I'd probably say Ian Dalby. That was a tough fight. It was a good fight. Give me an opportunity to show some of my striking skill as well. But I knew where his strength was on the feet. So if I was just trying to take him down and put him on the ground straight away, he's not going to have to worry about any of my striking really. But that was a good fight. It gave me a good opportunity to test myself, express my striking a little bit, and then when I needed to get that fight done, bring it to the ground and find the submission when I could.
How did your Cage Warriors debut go?
My debut was against Chris Edwards, Cage Warriors veteran, up at bantamweight. I'd had a few issues making flyweight previously, my own fault, just lack of either preparation or overthinking a lot of things. So I fought Chris at bantamweight. It was a good fight, not the best performance on my part, but I think it got the fans excited, and we had fun in there.
So do you have a favorite move? Since I was watching you a few times and I've seen you're doing pretty much everything. So do you have a favorite move, or you're a open-minded fighter?
I try to be open-minded as possible and never, particularly focus on one area. But I do have a strength at finding the guillotine on most people that I would either fight or grapple against, and striking-wise, I love a right hand, long right hand.
Yeah, great, really great. How did you defeat Conor Higunet? It was one of really, really great fights where you participated.
Conor, when I fought Conor, he was, I knew he was going to strike again, so I went into one exchange, I think, in the middle of the cage. We ended up pressing up to the fence, and I landed a short left knee, which hurt him. we kind of went down after that. I don't know if it was the knee or it was half of a takedown, but I ended up in a mount, able to consolidate position, and then pretty much kept him there for the rest of the fight. It wasn't too much, but it was just the position and the control I had at the time made it impossible for the referee to let me continue to strike, and it was too early in the fight for him to, have any of that sweatiness to get out of those scrambles and that.
So, your fight against Andy Young, well, it kind of had a special meaning for me. Believe it or not, Andy Young was my first interview.
Oh, really?
Yes,
yeah,
he was.
He's a great guy, man.
Yeah.
He's a real nice guy.
Yeah, great guy. How did the fight go? I mean, Andy said that the fight with you was one of the toughest he has ever participated at.
Nice of Andy to say, and to be honest, that is probably my most complete performance striking. I really felt like my movement was on point at the time, and I felt almost just a millisecond ahead of wherever he was thinking I would be. Just in and out, touch. Don't get touched back. Don't allow the takedown. Don't settle. Took me a while to find my, the shot to drop him in the third. And I never really got close to finishing him. I know he's a wily veteran. He knows exactly what he's doing, and the stuff he did in there was, it was all really solid work. But I just felt that day, my performance was, on striking at least, was just about perfect.
So against Samir Faidin, that was your first loss in a title fight, right?
Second loss in the title fight.
Second loss? Which was the first?
Yeah, Nathan Grayson.
I didn't watch that one.
No, I lost to Nathan a few years back. He caught me with an elbow and a couple of big shots from ground and pound midway through the third or third round, I think. It was a couple of good shots. I should have been a bit more alert. I shouldn't have been playing jiu-jitsu so much, and it taught me I shouldn't be sleeping on the job. When I fought Samir, just like against Nathan, really, I felt like I was controlling the fight. Just starting to relax a bit too much against Samir, and I was throwing shots, and I felt like I was hurting him, but I threw one too many in the pocket, and then I stayed in the pocket flat-footed, and he caught me with a lovely shot, dropped me. As I'm trying to get back up, my hand slips, lands a couple more shots, and the referee jumps in. Something to work on, always.
What was your tactics for LeBlanc fight?
My tactics for the LeBlanc fight were more movement. Unfortunately, I managed to catch my toes probably a week and a half before the fight in my last spar, which meant my movement normally, I'm a lot more fluid on the feet. I was almost having to bounce on the spot against Nicholas, and it really kind of limited my options for what I could do in there. I felt like if I could move my feet more, I can create the setups that I normally would in order to land some of the heavier shots. But because of the lack of movement, I ended up just swinging heavy and being almost static a lot of the time. And he did some real nice stuff in there as well. Caught me with some lovely elbows, and a couple of his shots were right on the money.
So actually, how would you rate your fight against LeBlanc? Are you pleased with the performance, or?
I'm pleased to get a win. I wasn't pleased with the performance at all, but it's a win, and I've been out of the cage for over a year, so it was good to get that sort of get back into that environment, get back in there. Tough guy who's going to come straight forward and punch me in the face as well. It was a good experience again, and it just gives me something to build on for my next fight.
So what are you up to for the future? I mean, do you have some specific game plan, or you're saying, okay, give me whoever wants to fight and let's see where it goes?
Pretty much. I'm not looking too far ahead. I'll take a fight as it comes along at the minute. You know, anything could change at the minute anyway with all the restrictions, the lockdowns, whatever's going on in the rest of the world. I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to compete this year. If the opportunity arises again, I'll grab it with both hands. And it doesn't really matter who I'm fighting. I'm at a good level now. I can compete against anybody in the world. Just one fight at a time. Performance, improvement, performance.
Yeah, when you say restrictions, I mean, I was so hyped about Nataya's fight and he had to retire because his cornerman was positive.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
Yeah,
Crazy times.
and he was healthy, but I mean, he was my second interview, Nataya's.
Oh, really? Yeah, I love Natty. He's a
Yeah,
good guy.
really good guy, but he was so unlucky. I mean, your cornerman tested positive. I didn't know that Cage Warriors is so strict with rules.
Yeah. I think it's pretty much it's the only way to get government approval and everything that goes along with that in the UK right now is to try to keep everybody in this bubble, and then if anybody does test positive, you're out.
Well, it depends from country to country. For example, here, when there was, I live in Serbia, but in Croatia, for example, for Armageddon, that's a local MMA promotion. You have the right, for example, your coach is positive. You say, okay,
Yeah.
I want to test myself again. You test yourself again. If you're clean, you can fight, but your coach mustn't take part.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, that does make sense as well. I think it's more of like the UK's approach to things is if one of you tests positive, you've got to then go and quarantine yourself for 2 weeks or whatever it is now.
Here too.
Oh, really?
Same rule.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially now, same rule. Would you like to greet someone? Would you maybe like to add something to this? Maybe we missed to speak about something.
Sorry, say again?
Would you like maybe to add something to this interview? Maybe to greet someone, or is there something we didn't say? Maybe.
I don't think so particularly. We covered most of it, like most of my fights and that, and what I'm going to do in the future. Really, the UFC is the end goal. I'm always aiming for that, but if I'm looking that far ahead, I'm not dealing with whatever is next. you know?
Alright, that would be it. So I will put the video to creating now. You can expect it today.
Okay, nice one, my friend.
Alright, thank you, Sam. Have a great day.